Alright guys, back with flight number 2. This is the same plane that I crashed last time. It's MiG-29. So, as you can see, I fixed the right-hand motor mount and didn't really have any problems with it. I just added some extra foam for some rigidity. It was a little flexible. On the top wing plate, I had to cut out both of these sections right here so that I could get underneath and reattach the drywall mesh tape. And you can see I added a second section here, and then I did some epoxy on this side to keep it all down nice and tight. And basically what happened is the drywall tape and the foam tack glue had kind of come off the foam. This is Dollar Tree foam, so take that with a grain of salt. Those were the two big issues. Also, you could see the rudders. They were repaired and replaced, and I added tape on the outside. If you remember from the first video, both of the rudders were flexing in a lot, so I added some tape to keep it rigid on the inside. It's got one piece of carbon that went down it before. That was from the initial build, and then I added one in between the two to keep the tips from folding into each other. One of the other problems that I'd had on the first flight was my servo on the inside came loose, and so what I did is I cut open the nacelle, as you can see there. Cut the nacelle open, glued it back in. The next time I build this, I'm going to do like all my other stuff where I put the servo into the side of the foam so it's stuck against the wing plate, but it's also stuck in between the nacelle, and add a little extra reinforcement on this. It's the same one that was cracked on the other side. So, and I also added some packing tape to these sides, added a little antihedral so that when it's flying it should be a flat wing plate. Probably not, but we'll see. So I figured I would invest a little bit of time and effort into this guy since it was a huge build. It took me forever. And then if I couldn't get another flight, then oh well. And if I can, then sweet, maybe we can learn something more from this. So let's do it. Flight number 2. Couple more changes I made that I forgot to add in here. Since the rudders got destroyed on the first flight, I disconnected the control rods for the rudders. So the rudder servo is still going to move around, but it doesn't do anything. The yaw is controlled by the motors. So if you go left on the yaw, right motor goes, it pushes it to the right, to the left. And I also took off the ailerons. I didn't need it. Kind of just went back to basics without destroying the aircraft, although that's pretty much where we were at. And the nose had some damage on it, and I just filled in with a hole where I could, put a bunch of tape over it, and then my seams on the bottom where I used the putty to seal it were just popping out. The putty was falling out, so I just used some hot glue and covered it up. That way it's nice and strong. So here we go with flight number 2. Here we go. Alright, I went to high rates right away because there wasn't enough elevator really to keep it in the air. It's got enough speed. This is a 3-cell 2200 milliamp battery. Sure does look awesome. Looks fast in the air too. It's definitely not the fastest plane I have, but it's probably the best looking. Trying out some of that yaw. Works out okay. Quad motors are really quiet. Doesn't like to not have speed on. It likes speed a little bit more. That definitely could be because of my build. Just keep the speed on and it feels really good actually. It's not super responsive. I've been having a problem with my left motor. When you punch it real hard, it cogs down and kind of stalls out, but then it'll catch up. I'm assuming that had something to do with that just now. Hopefully it's flyable and we'll just keep going. This one's pretty much done in my opinion, but if I could get a little bit of flight out of it, that's probably fine with me, just some flight time and playing with things a little bit. Looks like everything's working like normal. Check the... I got a little bend in the wing here. Not a big deal. If it crashes, it crashes. Let's just remember that. If it doesn't crash, then it doesn't crash, and it's not a problem. And we'll just keep going until it destroys itself, really. Looks like both servos are in there still, doing just fine. Let's check the yaw. Yeah, there was that cog again. So I'm just powering up. I'm not using any yaw at all, and you can see that left motor. There it goes, catches up as soon as I come down in power. If I go up nice and slow, it's not a problem. But as soon as I punch it real hard and get that high amp draw, it shuts down. Could be the speedos, I don't know. But it might just be one of the connections. I had to add in a bunch of extensions and stuff, so whatever. We'll see. Let's go flying. I wish it was one of those things that would work on one motor, but the small quad motors, it's not really the case. Kind of just yanking bank and leaving the yaw out of this. Yeah, just not enough throws. Let's see if we can turn it up a little bit. I'll get it on the radio this time. Alright, we'll keep going. We crash. I went up 10% and the dual rates were on high rates. So I went up 10%. I'm not sure what the angle is, but we'll just go for it. Why not? It's really weird flying without yaw. I love using yaw, especially in my turns. Oh, barely pulled out of that. This plane should be much more agile than that. Ah, goodness. Still there, still alive. Barely. Everything still looks good. We'll just keep going. Just keep the speed on. This battery could be pretty flat too. Might have something to do with it. Man, that thing looks amazing. The tape on the wingtips is working out pretty good. Has a little dihedral on the wingtips when it's under load, but it's not bad. See if we can fly right over our heads this time. On the upwind, this is downwind here. That's awesome. Feels like these quad motors just don't have enough gusto. Tell you what, I'm gonna bring it in and land it, try out a new battery, see if it's the battery before I destroy it. I think we survived that landing. Let's give it a new battery and see what happens.